Hello everyone and welcome back my dear students to the offline video series of Geography of Class 6. Once again I am here to revise lesson number 7, Rock and Rock Types. In this lesson we are going to revise about what do you mean by rocks, based on the formation process how rocks are divided, and which are the three main types of rocks, that is igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks and sedimentary rocks. So in this lesson we are going to revise once again all these types of rocks and their examples. So let us start with the revision of lesson. So before we start the lesson we are going to perform two activities. So in first activity I am going to ask you some questions after showing you some pictures. So you have to answer the questions which I am going to ask you. So these are the three pictures which I was supposed to show you. Figure A, Figure B and Figure C. So the questions are, what is the hill in Figure A made up of? Question 2 is, what is being done in Figure B? Third question is, what do we see in picture C? Fourth question is there any relationship between the three things shown above? Fifth question is, for what purpose do we use the things which are shown in Figure A and Figure C? So for homework, you are going to try to answer these questions. In second activity, you have to collect some rock specimens of different types, shapes, colors from the hills, riverbeds or the land in your vicinity, and you have to observe that rock specimen and note down the following points which are shown. For example, place where the rocks was found, color of the rock, spots on the rock and their color, weight of the rock, hardness of the rock, structure of rock and porosity of the rock. So these are the points. Based on these points, you have to examine the samples of the rock specimens which you have collected from your areas. So there are three important types of rocks which we are going to study in this lesson, and they are igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. So let us start with igneous rocks. When the molten material or the magma which comes out from the earth crust and the lava on the surface of the earth solidifies and cool downs, it gives rise to a certain variety of rock, and this variety of rock is called as igneous rock. Igneous rocks are also called as basalt rocks. As these rocks are obtained from the material which is present into the interior of the earth, they are also called as primary rocks. Usually, these rocks are hard and homogeneous by nature. Basalt is a major example of these igneous rocks. These rocks are quite hard by nature and we do not get any fossils from these rocks. The Maharashtra Plateau and Sahyadri are formed from these igneous rocks. Now let us have a look on the picture of igneous rocks. Most of the hills and forts in our Maharashtra are made from these igneous rocks. From the old construction sites, rocks are extracted and these rocks are used for construction of forts in our Maharashtra. Now, let us learn an important fact about the volcano. The interior of the earth has very high temperature, and as a result the material in this part is in molten state. So sometimes this material get released through the earth's crust and it is called as volcanoes. Lava, gases, dust and ashes etc. are thrown out during these volcanic eruptions and they get mixes with the soil under the ground. Now, let us collect some information about a rock called as pumice. Pumice is an example of igneous rocks which is formed out of the volcanic eruptions. It is porous by nature and its density is quite low and it can float on water. The next type of rock is sedimentary rock which we are going to study. But before we start with the sedimentary rock, let us understand what do we mean by fossils. The buried remain of plants and animals comes into the heavy pressure and as a result their impressions get marked on the surface of the ground. After many years, the dead remain or the buried bodies of these plants and animals get petrified into the ground and they are called as fossils. So the next type of rock is sedimentary rocks. Because of the continuous variations and changes into the temperature in the nature, rocks develops cracks on its surface. And because of this, water starts percolating from their surface and it also dissolves some of the soluble minerals from it. This leads to the weathering of rock and later they are decomposed. This leads to differentiate into the different pieces of that particular rock body. These small pieces are transported through rivers, glaciers and wind to the low-lying areas and they remain there for many years. In this way, many layers, one upon the other, are deposited of this sediment on that particular surface. And the upper layer exerts heavy pressure on the lower layer. And this leads to development of a material which is called as sedimentary rocks. Redstone, sandstone, limestone, these are some of the most important examples of sedimentary rocks. We can easily see the layers which are getting deposited while the formation of sedimentary rock takes place. When these layers takes place, the dead bodies of plants and animals may get buried into these layers because of the heavy pressure. So, one can have fossils from these sedimentary rocks. Usually, the sedimentary rocks are hard and brittle by nature.
Ah,
14 days ago.
factor about the sedimentary rock red sandstone. In Rajasthan, near Jaipur city, red sandstone is found. This red sandstone is a type of sedimentary rock. These rocks are used for construction of Red Fort at Delhi. The last type of rock is metamorphic rock. Volcanic activities and some other Earth's movement continuously takes place on the surface of the Earth. As these movements takes place on the surface of the Earth, the sedimentary rock and igneous rocks comes under the heavy and tremendous pressure and heat. This leads to change in nature as well as the chemical composition of the original rocks. That means the crystals which are present in that original rock are recrystallized. This means that the rock gets metamorphosed. This process is called as metamorphosis, and the rock which we get from this process is called as metamorphic rock. Coal is an example of metamorphic rock. Coal get metamorphosed when it comes under the heavy pressure and intensive heat. Coal is metamorphosed into the diamond. We burn the coal, but we use diamonds as the ornament. We are going to study about some important facts of metamorphic rocks. The Taj Mahal at Agra is built in marble. Marble is a type of metamorphic rock. This rock was brought from mines in Makrana in Rajasthan. As shown in the picture, river Narmada through Bheda Ghat gorge in Madhya Pradesh, that river has cut its jaws through marble rock. At sunrise, sunset and during full moon nights, these river banks present an enhancing scene. And one can realize these while taking a boat ride through this river. Let us have a look on the distribution of these three major types of rocks in Maharashtra with the help of a map. This is the map which shows you the distribution of major types of rocks across Maharashtra. In this map, the distribution of major rocks are done with the help of index. So, the grey color shows the basalt rock, the dark grey color shows the granite, the brown color shows you the laterite,